I had just finished my Christmas shopping, stepping out of the supermarket, when I turned and looked towards the nearby park. There, in a trash can, I saw a ginger cat and a German shepherd puppy, both bound together with tape, submerged in some refuse, utterly terrified, with a note beside them that read, "No Christmas for you." It was a horrific scene, one I can never forget. I still have that scene vividly in my mind, and it would shock you too. Please subscribe and comment "I love dogs and cats," and let us know where you are watching from and how you would react if you saw such a scene. By doing so little, we make a big difference, raising more awareness in the community. A subscribe, a comment is just like making a donation, because the video reaches more hearts, more eyes and ears, and we make an entire population more aware. The chill of December 25th, Christmas Day, was usually a bracing, invigorating sensation for me. It was midday, and the city, despite the holiday, was a symphony of bustling activity, albeit a festive one. Garlands adorned every lamppost, twinkling lights spiraled around trees, and the air was thick with the scent of pine, cinnamon, and roasting chestnuts. Carolers, bundled in scarves and hats, belted out cheerful tunes on street corners, their voices occasionally drowned out by the merry cacophony of shoppers rushing to grab last-minute gifts or ingredients for their festive feasts. The supermarket, a beacon of necessity even on such a special day, was a vibrant hub of humanity. People navigated their carts through aisles overflowing with seasonal delights, their faces a mixture of joyous anticipation and slight exasperation at the long lines. The energy was palpable, a collective hum of holiday spirit that, despite the crowds, always managed to warm even the coldest corners of my heart. I, too, had been swept up in the whirlwind, meticulously selecting fresh produce, a plump turkey, and all the trimmings for our family's traditional Christmas dinner. My shopping cart was overflowing, a testament to the abundance of the season and my wife's ambitious culinary plans. As I pushed my cart, laden with a fresh foods paper bag perched atop a mountain of groceries, through the automatic doors of the supermarket, the outside world seemed to amplify its festive cheer. A beautifully decorated wreath hung on the entrance, its red bows and golden ornaments catching the winter sunlight. A stark, almost ironic contrast to the scene that awaited me just moments later. I maneuvered my cart onto the slightly slushy pavement, the cold air biting at my cheeks but failing to dampen my cheerful mood. My car was parked a few rows down in the sprawling parking lot, adjacent to a small, often overlooked city park. The park, usually a quiet oasis, was equally adorned for the holidays, with strings of fairy lights draped across barren tree branches, creating a magical, if somewhat melancholic glow. It was against this backdrop of manufactured joy that a sound, faint at first, then growing in intensity, pierced through the festive hum. It was a whimper, a pained, desperate cry that sent a shiver down my spine, a shiver completely unrelated to the cold. My good mood evaporated instantly, replaced by a growing sense of unease. I paused, tilting my head, trying to pinpoint the source of the distress. The cries came again, small, mournful, unmistakably animal. My gaze instinctively swept towards the park, a place where such sounds were not entirely unheard of, but never with such a raw, heartbroken quality. My eyes landed on a cluster of municipal trash cans, gleaming metallic cylinders that usually blended into the background. But today, one of them stood out, not for its appearance, but for the faint movement I thought I saw near its base. Pushing my heavy cart aside, a sudden surge of adrenaline propelling me forward, I walked swiftly towards the source of the sound, my heart pounding with a mixture of dread and urgency. As I drew closer, the scene solidified into a horrifying tableau that would forever be etched into my memory. There, half submerged in a tangle of discarded wrapping paper, empty gift boxes, and festive refuse, were two tiny, terrified creatures. A ginger cat, its fur matted and disheveled, and a small German shepherd puppy, trembling uncontrollably. They weren't just abandoned, they were bound together, crudely and cruelly with wide strips of packing tape. The shiny brown adhesive glinted malevolently in the weak winter sun, holding them captive in a horrifying embrace. The cat, its usually bright ginger fur dulled by dirt and fear, had wide emerald eyes that darted frantically, reflecting pure terror. Its small body was pressed tightly against the puppy's, not in comfort, but in a forced, inescapable proximity. The puppy, a tiny German shepherd with soft dark fur, whimpered ceaselessly. Its small tail tucked so tightly between its legs it seemed almost non-existent. Its innocent eyes, clouded with confusion and deep-seated fear, looked up at me with a desperate plea. And then I saw the note. Crumpled, yet legible, placed deliberately beside them, almost like a grotesque gift tag. It was scrawled in harsh block letters, "No Christmas for you." The words were a venomous strike, a stark declaration of malice that sent a wave of icy fury through me. How could anyone, especially on a day meant for joy and compassion, commit such an act of unspeakable cruelty? The sheer depravity of it took my breath away. It wasn't just abandonment, it was an act of deliberate torture designed to inflict maximum fear and despair on these innocent beings. This wasn't merely a discarded gift. It was a discarded life. 2 lives, sentenced to a lonely, agonizing end amidst the discarded remnants of other people's celebrations. The metallic tang of indignation filled my mouth, pushing aside all thoughts of holiday cheer. My mind raced, trying to comprehend the callousness, the utter lack of empathy that could drive someone to such an abhorrent act. The images of their terrified faces, the way they were bound, the cruel message. It was a scene of unspeakable horror that I knew, with a chilling certainty, would forever haunt me. I rushed towards them, my legs moving without conscious thought, every fiber of my being screaming at the injustice. Hey there, little ones," I murmured, my voice a strained whisper, trying to project calm despite the tremor in my hands. The cat hissed, a small, pathetic sound of defiance, and tried to pull away, but the tape held them fast. The puppy, however, seemed to find a sliver of hope in my presence, its whimpers lessening slightly, though its body still convulsed with fear. My heart kicked, a profound, sharp pain that resonated deep within my chest. I knelt, my knees sinking into the cold, damp earth, ignoring the chill that seeped through my trousers. I reached out a tentative hand, trying to reassure them, but they flinched violently. "It's okay. It's okay," I repeated, my voice soft, almost pleading. The tape was thick, industrial strength, binding them tightly around their midsections. Their small bodies were already red and irritated where the adhesive pulled at their fur. Panic flared within me. I didn't have any scissors, no knife, nothing sharp enough to cut through the robust tape. My keys? Too dull. My wallet? Useless. I scanned the immediate vicinity, my eyes frantic, desperate for anything that could help. My gaze fell upon a shard of glass, glinting innocently amidst a scattering of discarded plastic bottles and aluminum cans a few feet away. It looked like a piece broken from a larger bottle, its edge jagged and sharp. A dangerous tool, but in that moment, it was my only hope. Without a second thought, I lunged for it, my fingers carefully closing around the smooth, rounded base, avoiding the lethal edge. "Hold still, little guys," I whispered, my voice rough with emotion. I held the glass carefully, angling it against the taut tape, trying to find a purchase without accidentally harming the already traumatized animals. It was a delicate, agonizing process. The tape was resistant, and the animals, despite my reassurances, continued to twitch and struggle, making the task even more perilous. Each small movement from them sent a fresh wave of fear through me, fear of cutting them, of hurting them further. Finally, With a slow, agonizing sawing motion, the first strip of tape gave way, with a soft tearing sound. The cat, sensing a newfound freedom, tried to squirm, but I gently held it in place, needing to cut the remaining bonds. The puppy let out a small yelp as I worked, a sound that spurred me on, filling me with a fierce determination. Bit by bit, the adhesive lost its grip, until at last, with a final, decisive slice, the last piece snapped. They were free. But freedom didn't instantly bring relief. They remained huddled together, shivering uncontrollably, their small bodies racked by cold and terror. The cat, no longer bound, still pressed against the puppy, a testament to the ordeal they had shared. Their eyes, though no longer darting in panic, still held a deep, profound fear. They were too scared to move, too overwhelmed to even attempt escape. I carefully scooped up the cat first, its tiny body surprisingly light, yet trembling like a leaf in my gloved hands. Then, with equal care, I gathered the puppy, cradling its shivering form against my chest. They were filthy, matted, and smelled faintly of trash and fear, but I didn't care. All I felt was a powerful surge of protectiveness, an overwhelming urge to bring warmth and safety to these abused creatures. Their fragile warmth against my coat was a stark contrast to the biting cold of the Christmas afternoon. I held them close, murmuring soothing words, letting them feel the steady beat of my heart, hoping it would convey a sense of security they had clearly been denied. Their tiny bodies continued to tremble, but less violently now, as if the sheer exhaustion of their ordeal was finally setting in. The cat, usually so independent, buried its head into my jacket, its small purr, barely audible, a tentative sign of trust. The puppy, still whimpering softly, licked my gloved hand with a hesitant, almost apologetic gesture. Carrying them, one in each arm, I walked back to my car, leaving the abandoned shopping cart as a forgotten sentinel by the supermarket entrance. The festive lights, the carols, the joyful chatter of other shoppers all faded into an indistinct background hum. My sole focus were these two vulnerable creatures, their lives hanging precariously in the balance. I opened the back door of my SUV, carefully placing them on the plush floor mat, away from the seats where their dirt might stain. They immediately huddled together again, a small ball of fur and fear, their bond forged in shared trauma. I cranked up the heater, letting the warm air blast through the vents, hoping to thaw their chilled bodies and soothe their agitated nerves. The engine roared to life, a comforting sound of escape. I bypassed the entrance to our neighborhood, heading straight for the familiar sign of Dr. Elena Petrova's animal clinic, an emergency vet open even on Christmas Day. The clinic waiting room was surprisingly quiet, a stark contrast to the bustling outside world. A few other anxious pet owners sat silently, their faces etched with concern. Dr. Petrova, a kind-faced woman with a gentle demeanor and steady hands, recognized me immediately. "Mr. Davies, what a surprise to see you here today," she greeted, her eyes widening slightly as she caught sight of the shivering bundle of fur I held. I quickly explained the situation, my voice trembling with suppressed anger and raw emotion. Her face, usually so composed, hardened with a look of profound sadness and disgust as I recounted the details. "The note. No Christmas for you. I don't understand how someone could be so cruel." She nodded gravely, her gaze softening as she looked at the traumatized animals. "It's sadly not uncommon during the holidays, Mr. Davies. People get new pets, or they simply don't want the old ones for their holiday plans. But to do something like this, it's truly sickening."
She ushered me into an examination room, her assistants already preparing for the new arrivals. They were efficient and compassionate, their quiet murmurs of sympathy a balm to my frayed nerves. The cat, a young female, and the puppy, a male, were gently placed on separate examination tables. The vet assistants began the arduous task of cleaning them, carefully removing the matted tape residue from their fur. Their small bodies were thin, their ribs faintly visible beneath their matted coats. "They're underweight and definitely dehydrated," Dr. Petrova confirmed, her stethoscope pressed against the puppy's tiny chest. "And very, very cold." She prescribed immediate intravenous fluids to replenish their energy and combat the hypothermia. One of the assistants skillfully inserted a tiny needle into the cat's scruff, setting up an IV drip. The same was done for the puppy. They lay there, two small, fragile figures connected to bags of saline, looking utterly vulnerable. Yet, slowly, the warmth of the room and the fluids began to work their magic. Their shivering lessened. Their eyes, though still wary, lost some of their frantic edge. They looked like little warriors, battered but slowly recovering from an unseen battle. While they were hooked up to their IVs, Dr. Petrova performed a thorough examination. "No major injuries, thankfully," she reported, a hint of relief in her voice. "Just some irritation where the tape was and general neglect. They're likely very young, maybe a few months old for the cat, and the puppy can't be more than 8 or 10 weeks. She checked for microchips but found none. Typical of abandoned animals," she sighed. "No identification, no history." She looked at me, her expression kind. "Mr. Davies, they'll need a place to recover. We can keep them for a night or two, but our kennels are full. Animal control will be busy today, and shelters are overflowing, especially around Christmas." The unspoken question hung in the air. My mind immediately went to my wife, Sarah, and our 2 children, Lily and Tom. We already had a full house, and adding 2 more creatures, especially 2 with such a traumatic past, was a significant undertaking. Yet, looking at their fragile forms, so utterly dependent and innocent, I knew I couldn't leave them. The image of the "No Christmas for You" note flashed in my mind, a stark reminder of the cruelty they had endured. How could I deny them a chance at a real Christmas? A chance at warmth, safety, and love? "I'll take them," I heard myself say, the words escaping before I had fully processed them. Dr. Petrova smiled, a genuine warmth spreading across her face. "I thought you might, Mr. Davies. They're lucky to have found you." She gave me instructions for their care. Small, frequent meals, plenty of water, a warm, quiet place to rest, and a follow-up appointment in a few days. She also provided a small bag of specialized recovery food and some soft blankets. The cost of the visit was substantial, but I paid it without a second thought. These innocent souls were worth every penny. Back in the car, now slowly heading home, the animals were calmer. The IV fluids had clearly helped. The cat, which I decided to call Ginger for now, was tentatively exploring the back seat, sniffing at the upholstery with a curious twitch of its nose. The puppy, whom I affectionately named Shadow, for his dark fur and his tendency to stick close, had curled up against Ginger, his small head resting on her side. They seemed to have found solace in each other's presence, a silent agreement to face the world together. The cruel bond of tape had been replaced by a comforting, unspoken companionship. As I pulled into our driveway, the house glowed with the warm, inviting light of Christmas. Festive decorations, carefully arranged by Sarah and the kids, adorned every window. The scent of our simmering Christmas dinner wafted faintly into the cold air. A wave of apprehension washed over me. How would Sarah react? And the kids? While they loved animals, this was unexpected. I took a deep breath, mentally preparing my explanation. "Dad's home!" I heard Lily, my 8-year-old daughter, exclaim from inside as I fumbled with the key. The door swung open, revealing her beaming face, followed closely by Tom, my 6-year-old son, who was already reaching for the grocery bags I had left in the cart at the supermarket. "Where are the groceries?" he asked, his brow furrowed in confusion. "Never mind the groceries for a second, guys," I said, trying to sound nonchalant as I carefully walked in, holding Ginger and Shadow close. Their eyes, wide with curiosity, immediately spotted the furry bundles in my arms. Lily gasped, her eyes widening to saucers. "Dad, what are those?" Tom, usually a boisterous bundle of energy, was speechless, his jaw dropping in awe. "A puppy and a kitty!" Sarah appeared from the kitchen, a gentle smile on her face, but it faltered as she saw my peculiar cargo. Her eyes, usually so warm and understanding, scanned the dirty, bedraggled animals, then flickered to my slightly grim expression. "John, what on earth?" I quickly recounted the story, trying to keep my voice steady, but the anger and sadness from the park still resonated within me. As I spoke of the trash can, the tape, and especially the cruel note, Sarah's face transformed from surprise to shock, then to profound sorrow. Lily and Tom listened intently, their initial excitement giving way to solemn understanding. Lily's eyes welled up with tears. "That's so mean, Daddy. Who would do that?" "I don't know, sweetie," I said, my voice catching. "But they're safe now. They're very scared, and they need a warm place to rest." Before Sarah could voice any objections about the sudden addition to our family, the children rushed forward. "Can we keep them, Mom? Please, please, please?" Lily pleaded, her eyes shining with unshed tears. Tom, equally enthusiastic, bounced on the balls of his feet. Sarah looked at the two shivering creatures, then at her children's hopeful faces, and finally at me, her expression a mix of concern and resignation. She knew me well enough to know that once I had committed to something like this, there was no turning back. A soft sigh escaped her lips, but it was followed by a faint, empathetic smile. "All right," she said, her voice gentle, "but they need to be cleaned up first, and they need a quiet space to recover." The rest of Christmas Day took an unexpected turn. The turkey was put on hold for a little while as our family rallied around the two new arrivals. Sarah found an old laundry basket, padded it with soft towels and a warm blanket, and set it up in a quiet corner of the living room, away from the immediate bustle. We carefully brought Ginger and Shadow to their new makeshift bed. They curled up together, still a little wary, but the warmth and softness seemed to provide an immediate sense of comfort. Lily and Tom, under Sarah's strict supervision, took turns gently stroking their heads, murmuring soothing words. The children's boundless compassion was a beautiful thing to witness. After ensuring the animals were comfortable, fed a small amount of the recovery food, and had fresh water, we finally turned our attention to the delayed Christmas dinner. The table was set with our finest china, candles flickered warmly, and the aroma of roast turkey, cranberry sauce, and mashed potatoes filled the house. The initial shock of the discovery in the park had slowly begun to give way to a different kind of Christmas spirit, one steeped in gratitude, empathy, and the unexpected joy of giving. As we gathered around the table, holding hands before the meal, I looked at my family. Sarah, her eyes reflecting warmth and quiet strength. Lily and Tom, their faces still showing a hint of the earlier solemnity, but now also shining with a renewed sense of purpose, their glances frequently darting towards the basket in the corner. "Today was different," I began, my voice a little husky.
But it reminded us of what Christmas truly means. It's about kindness, about giving, and about opening our hearts to those who need it most. Sarah squeezed my hand, a silent acknowledgement of the profound impact this unexpected event had had on all of us. The dinner was delicious, filled with laughter and conversation, though every now and then one of us would steal a glance at Ginger and Shadow, who were now peacefully sleeping in their basket, their small forms rising and falling in unison. The quiet presence of these two rescued animals added a layer of profound meaning to our celebrations, a poignant reminder that even amidst the merriment, there was suffering, and that even a small act of kindness could make a world of difference. Later that evening, after the last remnants of turkey and stuffing had been cleared away and the comforting clatter of dishes had subsided, we gathered around the twinkling Christmas tree. The soft glow of the lights illuminated the ornaments, each one holding a special memory. This was our cherished family tradition, reading our Christmas wish letters aloud, then opening our gifts. The crackling fire in the fireplace cast dancing shadows on the walls, creating a cozy, magical atmosphere. Ginger and Shadow, now awake and a little more alert, watched from their basket, their bright eyes reflecting the shimmering lights of the tree. Lily, her face flushed with excitement, went first. She carefully unsealed her handwritten letter, her small fingers tracing the words as she read them aloud. "Dear Santa," she began, her voice sweet and clear. "This year, I've been a very good girl. I really hope for a new dollhouse and maybe some art supplies. But most of all," she paused, looking up at us, her eyes sparkling, "most of all, I wished for a pet, a puppy or a kitten. It doesn't matter, just one that needs a home and someone to love it very much."
A collective gasp filled the room. Sarah and I exchanged a look of astonished wonder. Neither of us had remembered Lily's specific wish, so caught up in the whirlwind of holiday preparations and then the dramatic rescue. But now, seeing her innocent wish articulated so purely, it felt like a cosmic alignment, a stroke of profound destiny. Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes, and I felt a lump form in my throat. Lily's gaze drifted to the basket in the corner, where Ginger and Shadow had now stirred, their small heads cocked, as if understanding the weight of the moment. A slow, radiant smile spread across Lily's face, a smile that lit up the entire room. "My dream came true," she whispered, her voice filled with an almost ethereal joy. "I got both, a puppy and a kitty." Tom, not to be outdone, quickly opened his own letter. His wishes were, as expected, for action figures and a new video game. But even he, in his child's wisdom, understood the extraordinary nature of the day. He looked at Lily, then at the animals, and a wide grin split his face. "This is the best Christmas ever," he declared, and for once, I couldn't argue with his youthful exuberance. The rest of the evening unfolded in a blur of happy tears, unwrapped presents, and the gentle sounds of two rescued animals tentatively exploring their new, safe surroundings. Ginger, the ginger cat, rubbed herself against Lily's legs, a soft purr vibrating through her small body, a sound of contentment that had been absent just hours before. Shadow, the German Shepherd puppy, clumsily wagged his tiny tail, nudging Tom's hand for a gentle scratch behind the ears. They were still timid, still recovering from their ordeal, but the fear was slowly giving way to a nascent trust, a flicker of hope in their previously darkened world. That Christmas, our living room, usually just a place for gifts and festive cheer, became a sanctuary, a testament to the power of compassion and the unexpected miracles that can unfold when hearts are open. The story of Ginger and Shadow became intertwined with our family's Christmas narrative, a reminder that the true spirit of the season lies not in what we receive, but in what we give, and in the profound, often quiet acts of kindness that can transform lives. Their presence was a gift far greater than anything wrapped in glittering paper, a living embodiment of love, resilience, and the enduring magic of a truly compassionate Christmas. We had not sought out these creatures, but they had found us, guided by a twist of fate on a cold Christmas day, bringing with them a profound lesson in empathy and an immeasurable amount of joy. The journey of healing for Ginger and Shadow was a slow but steady one. In the days and weeks that followed, they blossomed under the tender care of our family. Ginger, initially skittish, transformed into a playful, affectionate cat, her purr a constant companion to anyone willing to offer a gentle stroke. She would often bat at dangling ornaments on the tree, her green eyes sparkling with mischief, or curl up on Sarah's lap as she read. Shadow, the little German shepherd, grew in confidence and size, his puppy clumsiness giving way to a more energetic, curious demeanor. He loved to chase a squeaky toy across the living room carpet, his tail wagging furiously, a stark contrast to the tucked, fearful tail I had first witnessed. His barks, once timid whimpers, became confident greetings, though still soft and gentle when interacting with his feline companion. Their bond remained unbreakable. They were rarely apart, often found napping together in a sunbeam, Ginger perched elegantly beside Shadow's sprawling form, or sharing a bowl of water, their silent companionship a beautiful testament to their shared past. It was as if they understood there were survivors, a team. Lily and Tom especially cherished their new pets. Lily took on the role of chief cat whisperer, spending hours gently brushing Ginger's rapidly improving coat and inventing elaborate games with feather wands. Tom became Shadow's devoted playmate, throwing balls and teaching him rudimentary commands with endless patience. The children's joy was infectious, filling the house with a lightness that had been amplified by the animals' presence. Our home, once just a family of 4, now felt complete. The routine of walks, feeding times, and veterinary checkups, where Dr. Petrova expressed her delight at their progress, became an integral part of our daily lives. Each new milestone, Shadow learning to sit, Ginger confidently exploring every nook and cranny of the house, their playful chases through the hallway, was celebrated with genuine delight. The harsh "No Christmas for You" message had been thoroughly obliterated by the overflowing love and warmth they now experienced. Their Christmas was not only real, but filled with an abundance they had never known. We often talked about that fateful Christmas day, not with sadness, but with a sense of profound gratitude. It had been a stark reminder of the darker side of humanity, but more importantly, a powerful affirmation of the good that exists within us. It taught my children and reminded Sarah and me that compassion is not just a feeling, but an action, a choice we make to alleviate suffering and bring light into the darkest corners. The act of rescuing Ginger and Shadow had not only saved 2 innocent lives, but had also enriched our own, imbuing our holiday season with a depth of meaning that no material gift could ever equal. They were no longer just a ginger cat and a German shepherd puppy. They were Ginger and Shadow, beloved members of our family, living proof that even in the face of cruelty, hope and kindness can always prevail. Their story became our story, a narrative of an unexpected Christmas miracle, etched forever in the heart of our home.